everybody. This is Joshua Hatton with One Nation Under Whiskey, extra news edition, industry news edition, and a whiskey tasting edition with my dear friend, business partner, collaborator, whiskey taster, partner in crime, Jason Neil Patrick Harris Johnston Yellen in the hizzy.
Yeah, cheers. This is the type of industry news I can get behind. Whiskey news is where it's at. I think about our end of year episode where we go through the whiskey advocate top 20. And that's good. That's fun to look back at a year and say, that came out and this other thing came out. And so to actually start off today's tasting with a special 2025 release is very exciting. It's a great place to be. And then to have an exciting core line behind that. So a lot to taste, a lot to get through, and very good whiskey in our glasses.
Yeah, so what we've got in our glass right now is the Compass Box. You've been saying hedonism. I say hedonism.
Yeah, I checked that out as well. I looked it up, and hedonism is the Oxford English pronunciation guide. So there's hedonism in cursive for those who are watching the video of this. If you're audio, obviously you're not looking at the label I just showed, but rest assured it says hedonism. It is 46% alcohol, and it is blended grain Scotch whiskey. And I'll get to the breakdown in a bit, but I definitely want to do some notes before we get to the cold, hard facts.
What would Mike Myers from So I Married an Axe Murderer say? What do you say? Hedonism. Heed.
It's a good way to remember it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing I've always loved about the hedonism is it just smells creamy. I think they've always focused on that sort of creamy element to the grain.
It's got a warmth to it. Right? It's got a little bit of that kind of warm cedar happening there.
Yeah.
Like a warm cedar cigar box.
Yeah, right. Do they talk about the different? I mean, I know you said that we're going to get into the detail. Okay, I'm going to hold my question. Let's talk about the notes. Yeah, I like the cedar, but for me, it's vanilla. It's soft. There's a little bit of like lemon meringue in the background.
Do you know what I just thought? Right on the back of you talking about how creamy it is, creamed corn. And then I thought about column distillation and the production of, the wheat or the corn or the what have you that runs here.
Right.
I was like, there's a commonality there.
Right. Yeah. We talk about Scottish grain whiskey being similar to American light whiskey, right? Yep.
All that talk about creaminess on the nose, I wanted to check out the palate. Yeah, light, bright, more vanilla in there for sure. Still with a little bit of the spice behind it.
I remember when we visited Compass Box, John Glazer came out with a bottle of hedonism, and there was ice on it. He enjoys his hedonism right out of the ice box, right out of the freezer. That for him, that brings out the flavor. And I almost considered putting my little sample in the freezer box, but I lost my sample, and I only found it like 10 minutes before we did this recording.
Yeah, you could imagine it. It's got those kind of spring-like flavors, the brightness to it. You could absolutely imagine that either being a really nice cocktail ingredient, or that chilled down version of it on a warmer, clear blue sky day. Would you call it crushable?
I mean, yeah, because it is crushable. It's quaffable, but if you sit and you pay attention to it, there's lovely flavors going on. The cedar remains there, but I'm getting that lemon meringue coming through. I'm getting the vanilla. I'm getting lime leaf. I mean, it's citrusy. It's bright. It's
I think the lime leaf is a good
you
call.
Say. Yeah, right?
Yeah, let me give you the breakdown of this. The lion's share, almost half of it, is Cameron Bridge Distillery, first fill bourbon barrel. It's got another couple of components from Cameron Bridge. It's got a small amount of another first fill bourbon barrel, but then it's got a first fill Marsala barrique, and that's making up less than 3% of the total volume.
Okay.
And then there's another grain distillery. There's some Girv in here, which you'd really want to sit with this and parse out that Girvan component. They say the Girvan is bringing the honeycomb, the vanilla, and the orange oil.
Yep.
And then there's two very interesting components. There's hedonism, vatted in 2023, and there's hedonism, vatted in 2022. How fun is that? That's really cool. That's almost like taking on a Solera style bottling there.
Right? It's sort of carrying that DNA through. I really like that. The Marsala cask it's interesting that it's only 3%, because as soon as you said that,
less than 3,
but as soon as you said that, the fruit, right, it makes me think, right, there's some of the fruity presence coming through, and it made me think of the canvas that we released a few years back that had 6 months in a muscatel cask, right, that just brought some delicate fruit to the grain, right?
Yeah, their take is that the Marsala barrique Cameron Bridge is bringing date, chocolate, and toffee to the experience. So some of the heavier, sweeter notes.
Man, yeah, people poo-poo grain, people ignore grain, and I wish they wouldn't. I think hedonism is a really good entry point to grain. I think there are other entry points as well, but I think this has always been masterfully done. From year to year, it's different, which is nice, right? It's just like the Aberlour Abuna with the different batches. It's a great way to explore grain, and
I think bringing in that little prior vatting is really fun. Also, to be clear for listeners and viewers, these aren't PR materials that I'm reading. This is a trip to compassbox.com. It may be a little more dressed up than that, but basically I simply went to the Compass Box website. I clicked on each of the bottlings we're going to be tasting here, and right there you can click on the recipe fact sheet, and they will show you everything that went in, the flavors it's bringing, the percentages that were used, the cask type. It's a brilliant level or a brilliant amount of information. And I love it. I absolutely love thinking about those things as I go through the whiskey.
I think your point is a good one when you mentioned PR, though. I mean, these samples were sent to us for review. So let's be very clear. These were sent to us for review, but our comments are our own, and we're being very honest about this. But we've been honest for the past 9 years with this podcast. We've always loved Compass Box. So we're gonna.
Oh yeah, gosh, going back to our own blogs, writing about it,
right? So even further back. So we're gonna do nectarosity.
Nectarosity. 46% blended Scotch whiskey.
Okay, nectarosity. Okay.
And again, everything we're tasting today is 46% non-chill filtered, non-colored. Okay. That's funny. I'm very curious to see the difference between Nectarosity and Orchard House, because going into this, I thought Nectarosity was going to be brighter, fruitier, kind of crisp apple. And my first note on Nectarosity was almost the fresh Plimsoll, the fresh Chuck Taylor soul here.
Oh, interesting.
It's something a little rubbery without being unpleasant, not to the degree of party balloons that I'm also fond of. Definitely the Chuck Taylor shoe soul here.
Oh, No,
Love the
see,
texture on this.
this is floral to me.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No,
Yeah,
grain for me as well.
yeah, this is like walking into a greenhouse in the fall, and you're looking to plant some annuals, right? I'm getting all the different flowers going on. Like, to me, this is the nectar from the flowers that the bees go after. Like, that's what I get out of this.
Does one plant annuals in the fall?
I have no I don't know shit. Did I say fall? I meant spring. You know, a season.
It is a season.
Question. What does the necpora in nectarosity do? Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I just avoided the nectar pour and just played it safe.
God, I like the nose on that. I see what you're saying with the sort of delicate sulfur, right? The little party balloons, the lit match far in the distance. But for me, it's all floral. I like it.
So for me, it's not sulfury. It's
Oh, it's
not.
not sulfur.
No, no,
Okay.
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no. It's
Okay.
for me. Those are very sherry-driven notes that are more dark fruit related, and for me, it's almost dark fruit
Okay.
meets
Okay.
old wood or dank wood. Now I'm
Gotcha.
using the word dank, and I don't really want to do that either. But it's definitely a complexity of note. That's why in sitting with it, the granola's starting to come through on it, right? Toasted oats are present there. The warm honey element, maybe a little bit nutty.
Oh, it's mandarin on the palate.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. We started bringing back the idea of ambrosia, like that dessert from the 50s and 60s. And we started bringing that to parties, and you just get the cheap mandarin slices and you add that in there. And that's it right here in the glass.
Is that mandarin slices from a tin?
From a tin or from like the cheap little packs that you send in with your toddlers at school or whatever. I
Oh,
mean, not
wow.
toddlers, but yeah, you just, oh yeah, it's the worst, best
Oh,
dessert, best, worst
I've never
dessert. Yeah.
seen bagged mandarins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely goes in a direction that I wasn't expecting. But yeah, I tell you, man, for blended Scotch, right? There's still a little pocket of people who are like, oh, blended Scotchies, like malt meets grain. Oh, I'm a malt man, you know. Um, this you could fool tons of people
Saints.
with,
Oh, it's
right?
saints.
Anybody who's a malt snob and anti-blended Scotch, I would absolutely pour this for them when they walk in
I
the
don't know
door.
if do you see the legs
Yeah,
on
that's what I
the
said
glass?
earlier. Yeah. Yeah, the texture in the glass is excellent.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
at
okay, right.
46%.
So obviously there are some people who are listening to this podcast, but if you don't know, for those that are listening, for these news episodes, we're releasing these on YouTube. So feel free to go over to our YouTube channel, Single Cast Nation YouTube channel, and you can watch these videos, and we're putting these glasses up here, and you can see the oils. Like, this is such a well constructed whiskey. It's clear they're paying attention to the texture on this. Oh man, I am digging this.
I had to go ahead and pour Orchard House so that I've got it side by side
Mm.
with
Mhm, mhm.
Nectarosity. So
Okay.
as I'm prone to do in some of my tastings, I've got two glasses on the go now. Oh,
So
that Orchard House is doing for me what I want in the spring.
so why did you pour Nectarosity before Orchard House? Because it was a blended Scotch whiskey, and Orchard House is a blended malt Scotch whiskey?
Exactly correct. So we've gone
Mm,
from blended
okay.
grain to blended Scotch to blended malt.
Okay. Okay. I dig the evolution. Makes
Oh
sense.
my God. It's so funny. I'm telling people not to be malt snobs, and I'm saying, like, you could really fool people with blended Scotch. this orchard house has absolutely got it going on. This Jason's in his happy place.
Oh. Did you talk about the components of
No,
nectarosity?
not yet. So
Not yet.
while
Okay,
I'm
okay.
kind of getting my druthers here, I'll go back to nectarosity here. That's a good call. Okay, so there's a couple of different linkwoods in play here, but I'll give you the grain first.
All right, this is nectarosity, everybody. Hear us out.
So
right?
there's 5% of a Girvan Distillery first fill bourbon barrel.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 10% of Girvan Distillery refill hogshead, ex-virgin custom American oak barrel. There's then 4 elements from Cameron Bridge that come to about 20%. First fill bourbon barrels, all 4 of them.
Okay.
Then you've got a couple of Linkwood Distillery offerings. Oh, look at this. 22% of nectarosity is first fill Palo Cortado sherry seasoned butt of the Linkwood Distillery.
You know we love the Palo Cortado. Yep, there you go.
Right, and then there's almost 12% is a refill sherry puncheon from the Linkwood Distillery.
Okay.
Then there's 10% from Clinlish, second fill virgin custom American oak barrel, and closing out with 7% from the Balmenic Distillery, first fill bourbon barrels. So
that's a
Balmenic bunch.
Yeah, there you go. You know, if there was if there was a compass box that didn't have just a wee bit of Clinlish in there,
right?
Right.
You'd question what was happening with the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Man, the nose on this orchard house. I'm going to bring this banner back up. Right, we're back to the orchard house. Gosh, that's pretty.
Yeah, I'm not getting any of the sherry influence happening in there. This feels cleaner, brighter. This is where I'm starting to get some of that zestiness you were alluding to back in Hedonism. This has got, I almost feel like these lighter notes are just dancing. I know you like to go with effervescence on the palate. For this, for me, it's not quite effervescent on the nose, but it's very much a lifting nose. And so I have something coming out here, almost like the vapors are escaping the glass to express themselves.
Do you get a slight dustiness, just a hint of a dusty quality to it? Like I'm not going so far as to like old school Bladnock dusty, but just a delicate dusty.
As you mention it, could there be a used library book on the table next to you?
Right?
Yes. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Could
I'm not saying that this is not pejorative. This is not in a bad way. This is, facets.
I was starting to move towards crabapple on the nose, or even like a sour, or like a crisp green Granny Smith. That's beguiling.
Someone gave me shit for us using the word beguiling.
That person's not welcome to purchase Single Cask Nation going forward.
And I forget what the note was. And he said, "What's so beguiling about insert note here?"
Wow.
And I said, I basically said, "Shut your mouth when you're talking to me." And
100%.
Right?
No, I had great success pouring that in Fog City Social in San Francisco. And I would say to people, like, I'm getting this note and that note, and wait for it. And they would go, they would sit with it. I would say, "And you've just been beguiled." And they were like, "I have just been beguiled. You are correct." So much more success in San Francisco.
There is just a touch, a hint, a wisp of smoke coming through across the palate, right?
100%. There's a wisp of fresh hospital bandage as it transitions from the end of the palate into the finish.
Oh no, it's not. For me, it's not hospital bandage. This is campfire. This is campfire. You've woken up in the morning, or maybe you've woken up in the middle of the night because you want to see the stars, and the embers are there, and it's just a little bit of smoke, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, but as you know, that fresh hospital bandage for me is the smoke component.
Mm,
It's not
that's
it's not
true.
iodine, it's not medicinal.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
gosh.
oh my
That's
gosh.
I'm excited to see what is in this. I've got the
Oh,
page tabbed. I haven't read it. But I'm curious, where's the Highland peat coming from? And will we be correct? Is there Highland peat in here?
oh my gosh.
Are
God,
you
that is.
standing with your campfire smoke being Highland peat, clearly not Isla peat, or are
Yeah,
you?
I mean, there doesn't seem to be a coastal element to this. It's. I mean, I wouldn't call it floral. Let's put it this way. I don't think that this is Isla Pete. This has to be like declarative statement,
That's exactly what I
right?
wanted. I wanted you on the record making, a very strong statement. I'm definitely thinking Highland Pete. So
Yeah, yeah.
let's go for the reveal here because there might be
Okay.
a bit more discussion to be had. Oh
Okay.
gosh.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. Let me see.
Right. It's
One, two, three, four, five, six,
100%.
seven, eight.
It's all Ardbeg. It's 100% Ardbeg. Am I right?
There
The
are
single
eight.
cask of Ardbeg, 1974, Providence.
There are 8 components to this. I'm trying to
Okay.
see the largest. The largest is 27% from a distillery near the town of Aberlour. I wonder if you have to drive near Blacksboat Bridge to get to that distillery near the
Mm.
town of Aberlour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That is a first fill Oloroso sherry seasoned, but with an 11-month finish. So I do not. I was on the record blind. I do not get any sherry presence in this.
No, not at all. That's so interesting.
And
Wow.
certainly not for that cask to make up 23%
No, not at
of
all.
the
Mm-mm.
blend.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And
Oh,
you are
guess what?
reading Orchard House, right?
I was going to say, guess what? Guess what? I opened the wrong tab.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
This is good. Okay, so completely disregard what I just said. Even better. We are going to have a good chuckle here. So,
Okay.
I will tell you the Orchard House is 41% Clinlish.
There we go. That makes sense.
41% Clinlish. There's then, almost 10% of this is a first fill Oloroso sherry seasoned butt from a distillery near the town of Aberlour.
Okay.
And we still don't get that component in here. So that maybe that's a little bit, it's like the triangle in a symphony. You maybe don't notice it, but it's there, making a little, right?
It's like the dude's rug. It ties the room together.
Right. The symphony would be different if that component wasn't in there. It's then got a couple of friends of ours. It's got a first fill bourbon barrel from the Glenmurray distillery. That's also 10%. And then it's one third. One third is first fill bourbon barrel from the Linkwood distillery.
Okay. All right.
So how much? So there's first fill bourbon Clinlish being 41%, first fill bourbon Linkwood being 34%, first fill bourbon Glenmurray being 10%. So I think we were spot on there with the amount of first fill bourbon happening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Then, as previously said, there is the distillery near the town of Aberlour.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 little peated elements. There's
God. Thank God.
2.5% is a Highland malt blend with a custom French oak barrel medium toast. And I'm going to say there's nothing in the material here. I'm going to suggest that's Edrington. And I think we're getting a little bit of Glenturret, peated Glenturret, aka Rûde Vore. I think that's the little bit of Highland peat in here.
So the French oak makes a little bit of sense to me because I was getting a bit of spice center palate. Like I was wondering where the spice was coming from, and now French oak. I don't know if I'm just looking for a square peg because I found a square hole.
Yeah, their notes have smoke, almond, and vanilla coming from the Highland malt blend.
But Rude Vor tends to have a rubbery, naughty quality to it, like we in the wheelhouse of Lechig or Crofton Gaia, like in that naughty realm. And in
But
this,
think about the fact you've
doesn't
only got
seem naughty.
2.5% of the entire blend is that.
Okay, so what's the other peaty element?
It's a first fill bourbon barrel. This is also 2.5%. Have you ever heard of the Kalila distillery?
Wow, look at that.
There's two components in here that I definitely don't get, and that's sherried Highlander making up 10% and 2.5% from Kalila. Those are I'm going to go on record saying those are mindfuck components.
Those are mindfuck components.
Right. That are going to land in a particular way, but damn,
Yeah.
we're going to call those the dude's rug, and then we're Jesus, Jason, I just poured Crimson Casks all over my trackpad.
Jason, the liquid is meant to go into the glass.
Oh man, yeah. As soon as we mentioned the dude's rug, like I've just pissed whiskey all over my trackpad.
So you're the rug pisser.
Man, oh man.
Jason's the rug pisser.
There you go.
All right, Crimson. So these four whiskeys that we're tasting, this is the new core range to Compass Box. This is replacing sort of not all they had done in the past, but this is sort of truncating down what they had done. This is what they're focusing on moving forward. Yes?
So just to be clear, the Hedonism is an annual release. So that's not one of the four you're talking about.
Correct.
So the Hedonism that we started with is annual release. Nectarosity, Orchard House, Crimson Casks, and Peat Monster are the core. Yes. And, the Great King Street blends are still out there in the world. But yeah, these four are being discussed as the core. You'll always find these. Because if you remember when we were talking to James Saxon for a full-length episode, and he was talking about, Great King Street blends aren't going away. Time will tell what the future holds. So I think they've got strong messaging on these four in the core. Nectarosity, Orchard House, Crimson Cass, and the Peat Monster.
What would you do, Jason, if Great King Street went away?
I would just buy it. I would just hoard it like it was toilet paper during the pandemic. And then I would just keep opening those bottles. I would, to be fair, I probably already got enough King Street. I could drink it for the rest of my life.
That's true.
But I would definitely add to that just to be safe.
Also, I think you mean plandemic.
Settle down. If these are on YouTube, we don't want to get the wrong audience.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay.
That's great as well. That's a big, bold, hefty, blended malt.
So now
you can set your watch by.
So your previous comment, I'm going to bring up a banner here for those that are watching this podcast on the YouTubes. Your previous comment about this Crimson Casks being about 20% sherry butt from a distillery near the town of Aberlour is now making sense in Crimson Casks.
Yeah, 26.9. They say this is bringing red apple, rich toffee, and raisins. However, just an 11-month finish. I'll also say of the 8 components going in here, all but 2 are ex-bourbon. And then they play around with some cask types. There's a red wine in here. There's another French oak barrel in here. So, yeah, they're playing around here. Yeah, there is a distillery in here we haven't mentioned as of yet in the first three, but yeah, that's set your watch by that.
Yeah,
If we're going to finish on Peat Monster, this is the Sherry Monster before the Peat Monster.
This is just a nice warm hug, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah. Dark chocolate cake, dark chocolate itself, espresso beans. And I think the 46%, right? You and I, obviously, single cask nation, cask strength whiskies from single casks. There's nothing wrong with 46%. You know, if you're reaching for something, we talk about the transition from work day to making dinner or, you know, talking to your kids. I don't know what people do at the end of the day. What do humans do? 46%, right? Incredibly quaffable. Pop it in a cocktail. Yeah, that's really tasty. And again, no hint of sulfur, no hint of struck match. This is all the heavy dark fruits, the dark chocolate cake, the German cake. I think German brown bread, a quality you sometimes talk about, Joshua.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, no, the brown bread is spot on. It's actually two things. Oh, that's interesting. Right? So it's that German brown bread in a can, right? You open up the can in both sides and it's got the raisins in it, right? It's that sweet brown bread. But there's also that sprouted rye bread going on there. There's a bit of spice in there that's quite nice.
That's got a lot happening. Yeah, in the fun of pouring the old Crimson Cask here, I've gone ahead. If I'm affectionately calling Crimson Cask the Sherry Monster, I've gone ahead and poured the Peat Monster as well for a fun little.
Can I put a challenge forth to the folks at Compass Box? They should put out a cask strength version of this and partner. Hear me out. And partner with the band King Crimson and do a King Crimson Casks version of this.
There you go. That idea is free.
Yeah, no, I actually want royalties from this. I don't hand this shit out for free. I would like some royalties or the folks from King Crimson to write me a song. That's all I ask.
That's cracking. That man, really nice whiskey. Wow. That Crimson Cask. Okay, so to continue the reveal on Crimson Casks, obviously I talked about that large 27% is the first fill Oloroso sherry season, but from the distillery near the town of Abelauer. The next largest component is actually 20% first fill Oloroso sherry season, but with a 4-year finish from the Glenmurray distillery. That's excellent to have Glenmurray in there.
Right.
I'll give you one of a large first fill bourbon components is the Benrinnes distillery, 14.5% from the Benrinnes distillery.
Oh, interesting. They're also a worm tub distillery, if I'm not mistaken.
Benrinnes.
Could be wrong.
Google machine on that one. And then the rest of the components, I'm not going to name them. There's a lot of components in Crimson Cask, but you've got another Glenmurray. You've got another distillery near the town of Abelauer. The Highland Malt Blend reappears. This time they say it's bringing in espresso, dark chocolate, and honey. That was also custom French oak barrel. You've got some sherry butt Teaninnick and a fun, just a 6% component, a refill hoggy ex-Spanish red wine barrique from Glenmurray. And they say that's bringing clove, raspberry, and blackcurrant.
I wonder if that Teaninnick is bringing about that sprouted rye bread that I mentioned before. Teaninnick always has that sort of grassy, sometimes vegetal thing coming through.
They're saying the Teaninnick is bringing red apple, wood spice, and butter.
Butter. You say butter, I say butter.
Yeah, that's because I was raised right. My mum would take her hand off the back of my head every time I said bar. Bar. Do you want to pop up the banner for the peat monster here?
All right. Yep, will do.
Oh gosh. I
Ba-da-ba-da.
say it in every single one of my tastings. Every time we get to the Isle of Peat portion, I always say, and now my soul has come home. I just sticking my nose into Peat Monster. My soul has come home. Gosh. Oh, so good.
So this peat monster, I mean, the recipe changed quite some time ago. I remember getting this back in the day. I used to get the big Magnum, the 1.75 liter bottle, which was always right. That was the deal. That was the steal. But Jason, holy moly!
Yeah, that's all the things. On the website, it does say a whiskey for Peat Monster, a whiskey that layers peaty and smoky elements. The recipe in 2019 has evolved to include older and more elegant Islay malts.
There you go. Okay.
Yep.
Gosh, that is just that's glorious. There's a bit of funkiness to it, but it's got that coastal element going on, which is nice and it's warming. But it's sweet as well, right? There's a sweetness going on there.
Yeah, the first note I got on the nose was smoky bacon, which for me can be very much a Lafroig note.
When's the last time you had, as a vegan, when's the last time you had smoky bacon?
30 years ago. But I always feel it tastes like it smells. So
that's true, right? And you can
we smell it in Scottish bed and breakfast early and often. So.
That's a very good point.
Oh, it's just, and then, but there's also a minerality to it. There is that nice seashore pebbles going on the nose,
which is something that I always get in Kalila. And so I'm going to be very honest. I don't know the makeup to Peat Monster, so I'm hoping, hoping that there's Kalila in here.
I have to assume there's Kalila in here. Have to assume.
I mean, it is a powerhouse distillery that makes a lot of spirit for blending. So, like you, I have to assume that.
Right. And given that at one point, 20% of Glasgow blend was Lafroig, I have to assume there's Lafroig in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I forgot that little detail. Okay.
Oh, man. Almost even like a little jalapeno skin starting to form on the nose now.
Okay.
Oh, here's the thing I've always said.
All right.
I never thought Peat Monster was named correctly, because I've never found it to be a monster. I've always found it to have a certain elegance and sophistication to it. And I think if you go in expecting a rugged, haggard peat monster experience, I don't think that's what you get. Now, obviously, if you don't drink peated whiskies, you probably do find this a peat monster.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why I think you're wrong. I mean, you, me, maybe a good number of our listeners would agree with what you say, but we are such a small subset of the general whiskey drinking public that to most people, this is a monster. This is like smacking you in the face with peat. But to us, this is balanced, complex, like it's like
sweet,
this.
Like soft,
sweet, right? Yeah, exactly. And you put to other people that are like, "Oh my God, that's all the peat." But yeah, this is sophisticated. I wouldn't call it austere, but it has a sophistication to it. Yeah.
I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest breakdown of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's predominantly Kalila and Lafroig.
There you go. All right.
Refill Hoggy, Kalila makes up 46% of this.
Okay.
Then the next largest is a refill Hoggy Lafroig,
Mhm.
making up 35% of this.
Okay.
Then there's another refill Hoggy Kalila making up 14% of this. And then the little jumping off point here is once again our Highland malt blend in a custom French oak cask makes a cameo. 1%.
Interesting.
It's Kalila, it's refill Kalila, refill Lafroig, and 1% custom French oak cask Highland malt blend.
God, I would absolutely love to taste the difference between the Peat Monster without that 1%, just to do that side by side to see
Agreed.
that 1% has to be doing enough heavy lifting for James, or if John had put this together, whomever put this together, to have said nailed it, right? That is what tied the room together,
right? Or everything else pops when you put in the 1% highlight. But I agreed with you. I would love to have the 99% next to the 100%. That would be fun. Yeah, there's nothing on the table here that I would say no to. As a fivesome, do you have a favorite? Which is always an unfair question because it doesn't mean we don't like the other four. But do you have a favorite?
I do. And I'm so glad you asked that, because I was going to ask you the same. And so you've asked me first, I'll ask you afterwards. I have a very clear favorite.
Yeah.
Nectarosity. I would drink that every day and twice on Sunday. Actually, twice on Shabbat. Right.
Paint me in tar and cover me in feathers. Okay.
It is doing all the things that I want it to do. It's complex. So if I want to look for depth and complexity, it's there. If I want to just share it around, like that's what I'll do for my newbie whiskey friends. That's what I'll do. It is the all-purpose whiskey. And I love that. And I absolutely love that. So yeah, Nectarosity. I expect
Do you
to
want to
have
give the banner for that? Since we have it.
Okay. So Joshua's favorite of the day, Nectarosity.
Interesting. And
so, Jason, Peat Monster aside,
to be honest, I do love Peat Monster. There's no doubt about it. It's not the number one of the five for me. So not even Peat Monster aside, Peat Monster included. Favorite?
This is an interesting development. Do tell. Inquiring minds want to know.
Orchard House.
Tell us why.
Well, first of all, are you shocked?
I am very well. Am I shocked? I am a bit shocked because the peat is delicate, and usually if peat is there, you want it maybe not to 11, but you typically like it a bit more amped. So tell us why.
The reason I like the Orchard House, honestly, I thought you were going to pick Orchard House as your number one. The Orchard House for me has a brightness, a crispness that I love in this time of year, right? We talk about not necessarily drinking seasonally. We drink peat all the way through the summer.
Yeah.
But I think there's a brightness here. And what it really makes me think of is of a day as I transition from my office work to my kitchen work, I pour a Fino. I pull a Fino from the fridge. And I love the crisp, the bright, the subtle salinity, depending on the producer. This Orchard House, I would 100% store a bottle in the fridge, and I would pour this as I transition my day and as I'm starting to make dinner. I would happily drink this. And I think the bright, crisp fruit, that little sour green apple note. Yeah, this was doing what I wanted today. As we record this, it did exactly what I wanted. So, yeah, I'm going to go have a wee look for an orchard house. Because there's nothing my wife loves more than me having more reasons to bring whiskey into the house.
She gets excited. I've seen her. I've been there when you've brought another bottle home, and she's like, a parade has started. A full-on parade.
Parade to the doghouse.
Right? It's 21 gun salute. It's amazing.
Well, there you go. There's whiskey news for you. There's delicious whiskey news for you. Hedonism's a 2025 release. Definitely look it up. Search it out. You won't regret a blended grain purchase. Joshua, number 1 from today, a blended Scotch whiskey that hits a series of notes. Jason, a blended malt that's bright and fruity. The Crimson Cask has that sherry monster, character going on. And then Peat Monster, 99% Kalila and Lafroig, with just 1% of Highland malt and French oak. So, yeah, thanks to Compass Box's PR team for sending these to us. As you said, full disclosure. And if you like Compass Box as much as we do, hang out on their website. Have a look at what they've got going on. Sign up for their newsletter. I get their newsletter on a weekly basis. Tell me what's happening with Compass Box as well. So check that out. Yeah, brilliant. Tons of fun.
As a company who really likes to focus on transparency, the fact that they do the same, it's admirable. Check it out. I agree. So that aside, if you have any questions, info@singlecastnation.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast on the YouTubes, subscribe to our channel down below. If you tap that little alarm button down there, you're welcome. You will be alerted of new videos. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to review our podcast on Apple, Spotify, whatever you listen to podcasts on, please do that. That would be wonderful. And I guess until the next time, Jason, listeners, the good folks at Compass Box, we bid you adieu.
Slàinte l'chaim.
Slàinte l'chaim. Slàinte tov.